Morning, my students and viewers. I welcome you to my today's lecture. I am with you again with prepositions. I have already given some classes on prepositions, and in my last class I discussed the rules of the prepositions, particularly the prepositions of place. Today I want to discuss the prepositions before time, and this is very much important for you, my dear students. You know that the rules of prepositions are somewhat difficult and confusing, so we need some classes to have a clear conception regarding the use of prepositions. In one sense, preposition has no rules, in this sense that it has so many rules and so many difficult and confusing, and you have already mentioned that you can't understand some rules. I know that, and I want to say that all these rules that I have prepared for you are vast. I don't focus only some particular rules, but I am trying heart and soul to inform you of the prepositions in detail. Okay? So let us talk about the preposition in expressing time, and I want to begin with the most common and important prepositions of time. And what are those? They are at, on, in. At first, let me talk about these three important prepositions, and please see the slide. This is the use of at before time. At is used to mean the specific time and clock time. As for example, at 5 o'clock, at 6 o'clock, at 12:30, and so on. So this is the most specific use of at. At is also used to mean the parts of the day. As for example, at noon, at midday, at night, at midnight, at that time, at this moment. All these are the parts of the day. That is, before the parts of the day we use at, and also we use at to mean some special festivals or occasions or some particular days without day. As for example, we can say Easter without day, not Easter day. Easter, at Easter, at Christmas, at the New Year. So there are some particular special days or occasion or festival, and you can find without the use of day after all these words, and then we use at. Look at the week end. In British English, it is used at before the weekend, but in American English, they use on the weekend. Be careful, the American use and the British use. I repeat, the British people use at the weekend, but the American people use on the weekend. My dear students, there is also the use of at before some sequence or order or the phase of time, such as at the first stroke, at the second stage, at the last phase. So to mean some phases or order or sequence, we use at. My dear students, in fact, at is used in brief to express the specific time. Right? Now let us move to the next slide. That is on before time. On is another most important preposition used before time. Now when on is used to indicate the name of the days of the week, as for example, on Saturday, on Sunday, on Wednesday, in this way. When you say any name of the day of the week, you must use on, right? Then on is also used before dates of the month, as for example, on 16th December, on 21st February, on 15th August. So before any date, we use on. Again, we use on before some special days or occasion with day. As for example, on Christmas Day, on the Victory Day, on the Valentine's Day. So when we use day after all these festival or special days, but we use at when we use Christmas without day, that is at Christmas. But when we say Christmas Day, we use on Christmas Day, but at Christmas. So this is the difference, and you should be very much careful. My dear students, so this is the use of on. Now come to the use of the preposition in before time. This is another important preposition of time. Now, what are the cases where we use in? In is used before any month. For example, in June, in August, in December. when we use the name of months, before it we use in. Then we use in before the name of any season, as for example, in summer, in winter, in spring. Okay? We use in before year, before century. As for example, in 1971, Bangladesh became free. In 1971, this is an year. The language movement took place in 1952. This is another year. So before any year we use in. In the case of century, we use in 16th century, in the 20th century. My dear students, we also use in before any decade or age or period. As for example, in 70s, in 1950s. By this I mean decade. Before age, in the Jacobean age, in Shakespearean age, in Tagore's age. Okay? Period in Jacobean period, in Shakespearean period. My dear student, in short, follow all these three: at, in, and on. At is used to mean the most specific time, which is smaller. At 9 o'clock, at 5 p.m., most specific and the smallest time. Then on is used before the time longer than at. As for example, day is longer than a specific time, 9 o'clock. Then on 16 December, it means on 16 December, it means a date. So this is again longer. And at last we use in. In is used before the longest time, century, year, decade, age. By this you try to keep in mind at is used before the most specific point of time. On is used before those times which are greater and longer than a specific time. And in is used before the biggest and longest time, century, year, decades, age, and so on. It's okay? Now let us move to the next slide. My dear students, now we can see some more prepositions for, since, from, by, and till and until. When since is used and when for is used. For is used before a period of time. As for example, I have been waiting for you for an hour. They have been living in Dhaka for 5 years. For 5 years, for an hour, all these are periods of time. So we use for before period of time. Then since. Since is used before the point of time from where some event, some action begins. As for example, I have been waiting for you since morning or since 5 p.m. So 5 p.m. or morning is the point of time from where some action begins. So before point of time we use since. My dear students, there is a difference between for and since. Now come to the use of from. From and since are the same in meaning, but there is a slight difference between since and from. Since is usually used to mean present perfect tense or particularly past tense, but from is used in any tense, either in present tense, past tense or future tense. As for example, it was 5 years since the last month, and it is used in past tense. It is used also usually in present perfect tense. 5 years have passed since last week, since last year. So since in Bangla mean hoite. From also means hote. In Bangla from এবং since একই অর্থ এখানে মিন করছে। মূল পার্থক্যটা since mainly বসে past tense as well as present tense, but from যে কোনো tense ব্যবহার হতে পারে। As for example, he will stay at Dhaka from July to August. From July to August, and to means up to the time. So there is a difference between since and from to some extent. And now we also use by. When we use by is used to mean any event, any time that must be before the arranged time, before the fixed time. As for example, I shall have finished the work by Monday, not on Monday, by Monday. If I say I shall have finished the work on Monday, it means I must do it on Monday, not before Monday, not after Monday, but on Monday. But if I say I shall have finished the work by Monday, it means I can finish the work on Saturday. I can do also on Sunday, even on Monday. But it must be finished before Monday. That is by. বাংলায় নাগাদ যদি বুঝেন, নাগাদ, আমি বিকেল 5টা নাগাদ তোমার সাথে দেখা করব, I shall meet you by 5 p.m. not at 5 p.m. কিন্তু আমি যদি বলি আমি তোমার সাথে বিকেল 5টায় দেখা করব, জাস্ট 5টায়, তখন বলবো I shall meet you at 5 p.m. This is the specific time, so you must use at. But আমি যদি বোঝাই তোমাদের আমি বিকেল 5টা নাগাদ দেখা করব, 5টায় না, 5টা নাগাদ, ইট মিনস আমি দেখা করতে পারি তোমার সাথে 4টেও করতে পারি, 4:30তেও করতে পারি, ইভেন 5টাতেও করতে পারি। So this is the difference between at and by. My dear students, there is another use of preposition, that is till and until. Till means up to some time. The difference between till and until is just affirmative and negative, nothing else. As for example, I shall wait for you till the evening, or I shall wait for you until sunset. So till and until are also preposition used to mean up to some time. Okay, now let us shift to the next slide. Here we can find the use of in and within. My dear students, I have already mentioned that there are some gray areas in the use of preposition, and by gray areas I mean the confusing areas in the use of prepositions. Here you can find in and within. In Bangla দুটোই কিন্তু মধ্যে, in মানেও মধ্যে, within মানেও মধ্যে, but what is the difference? In is used to mean the ending time, the time towards the end. That is, my father will return in a month. It means when the month is about to over, that is in the ending part of the month. In a month, just my father will come, just for example on 31st October. But if I say within, my father will return within a month, it means my father can come back within any time. That is, time limit is 1 month. That is, my father will return maybe within 15 days, or within 20 days, within 25 days, whatever. But if I say in, it means the end of the given time. Okay, so there is the difference between in and within. Now there is another important preposition, during and throughout. There is also a difference between during and throughout. Now what is that? Almost we confuse the use of these two prepositions. During means that any event may take part. in the beginning of the period, or in the middle of the period, or even in the end of the period. That is, at any time in the given period. As for example, I felt boring during the class. That is, the student says that he felt boring maybe in the beginning of the class, maybe in the middle of the class, or maybe at the end of the class. Okay? But it doesn't mean the whole period. Another example, my father was sick during his stay at America. It means that my father was not sick throughout the whole time while he was waiting, while living in America, but in some certain period of time, not the whole period of time. On the contrary, throughout is used to mean the whole period, not a particular time of the period, but the whole period. As for example, you feel boring throughout the class. It means that from beginning to the end of the class, you feel boring. I was sick throughout the whole week. It means that I was sick from the beginning to the end of the week. So, during means a certain time of a given period, while throughout means to express the whole period of the given time. Am I clear? My dear students, I have already told you that you should use your khata, your pen when you attend the class. If you want to understand my class clearly, completely, you must have your rapt attention and you should use your khata, your pen. Alright? Now, there is another confusing use of in time and on time. What is the difference between on time and in time? On time just means a given or arranged time, a fixed time. As for example, the chief guest joined the meeting on time. That is, suppose the meeting started on 10 a.m. The guest joined the meeting on time means he joined the meeting on 10 a.m. at 10 a.m. So, on time means the fixed, given or arranged time. On the contrary, in time means not later than. It means punctually, without being late. As for example, I always finish my work in time. That is, without any late, I do my duty. He reaches the office in time. It means that without any late, being very punctual, he comes to the office. But on time means a fixed, arranged or given time. Am I clear? My dear students, there are also some use of prepositions like before and after. Very simple, you know. I didn't see you long before. Is it adverb or preposition? It is of course an adverb. But if you use before as a preposition, you need to use a noun. That is, he reached here before 5 p.m. or he reached here after 5 p.m. So very simple, before and after. My dear students, I think that you can understand all these uses of preposition, and you can compare all these three prepositions like at, on and in with all those prepositions used before place. When I discuss the rules of the use of prepositions like at, on and in before the place, you could understand in my last lecture. And today I also speak of the use of at, on and in before time. But there is a similarity in the use of prepositions of place and prepositions of time. But how do differ? My dear students, I told you that I want to feedback on some comments that you made on my last class, and from your comment box I have taken some important topics. Like, one of you wanted to know the difference between beneath and underneath. Beneath and underneath. I told you that under and beneath are the same, and both are used to mean under some surface, direct under some surface. As for example, there is a dog under the tree, or you can use there is a dog beneath the tree. So beneath and under are the same to mean direct on some surface. Okay, but underneath and beneath, under and beneath, though they are the same, but there is a slight difference, and that is under is used frequently, but beneath is used only formally. In formal English, beneath is used, but under is used everywhere, either in formal or informal or formal English. But there is a difference between beneath and underneath. Underneath is used to mean that something is covered under something else. And I gave this example again, that the old man puts on a sweater underneath his overcoat. there is an overcoat, and under the cover of this overcoat he puts on a sweater. So the sweater is covered under something else. অর্থাৎ যখন একটা জিনিস অন্য জিনিসের আবরণে মোড়া থাকবে বা তার নিচে অবস্থান করবে এমন বোঝায়, তখন বিনীত হয়, কিন্তু আন্ডারনিথ হয়। আর বিনীত হতে গেলে এরকম বুঝাবে না। বিনীত বুঝালে কোনো একটা সারফেসের সরাসরি নিচে বুঝাবে, আন্ডারের মতো। আর আন্ডারনিথ হলে একটা জিনিসের আবরণের নিচে আর একটা জিনিস থাকা অবস্থায় বোঝাবে, তখন হবে আন্ডারনেথ। সো দেয়ার ইজ আ ডিফারেন্স বিটুইন beneath and underneath. Another student